Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws On Manga segment with a little anime dabbled in this time.
Yes. And today we're covering the Dead Demons DEDEDEDE something Destruction manga. Good grief. What the heck? Yes, I don't know what they're saying either.
So we're just going to refer to it as DEDEDEDE. We're not going to say that over and over. You know what we're talking about.
Yes, this is true.
And this manga is about two high school friends living in post-apocalyptic Tokyo under an alien invasion, and it turns out it can get boring, seriously. However, there's a whole lot more to discuss in this bizarre manga and anime. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll keep some future podcasts and little pause videos.
Thank you so much for joining us, sharing our videos, commenting, subscribing, and so much more. We really appreciate you. We wanted to cover this briefly because we started reading the manga and we read 3 volumes. And we attempted to watch the anime concurrently, and we thought we were going to watch episode 1, but there was an episode 0, which they should have never had. But we'll tell you more about that. We were excited about watching this. We had seen it, some information on it on Twix come up, and then it just disappeared off the face of the earth like it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Once we started reading it, it was just really bizarre, really out there, and just not something that we really could see going mainstream.
Right.
And the anime itself is even worse.
Unfortunately, yes. And we understand that if there are people that watch the anime or read the manga and they do understand and really love it, it's great that you do, and this is clearly a certain type of genre. It's some of the lines of like Pop Team Epic and other mangas or animes that have really bizarre things happening, but it appeals to a certain audience.
But not in a fun way.
Not this one, no.
So normally this is abbreviated as DEDEDE, 4 capital D. And it's in the genres of post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, and slice of life. The manga has 12 volumes, ran originally from April of 2014 to February of 2022. As you can see, it took a long time to get it finished.
Yeah.
There have been 2 anime films, March 2024 and May 2024, 120 minutes each. And last but not least, the original net animation that's running on Crunchyroll. It began running May of 2024 this year, currently still running, and currently has 18 episodes.
Yes.
And the author is Inio Asano. So this sounded interesting. Thought it was going to be interesting.
That was going to be a comedy too.
Yes. Started reading the first volume. And the first volume isn't that bad. It seems interesting. And it's interesting enough to get you to go on to the next volume. So you find out about the main characters, and it's really weird how they're introduced, because on one hand, it seems like it's just going to be a regular slice of life manga. But then you've got these weird things happening. You've got a giant spaceship that's just sitting over the city. And then you've got strange creatures and people that are appearing, that they're giving you hints that these aren't humans or normal people.
Right. And an interesting thing that was in there we did like was that you never really saw the aliens until a little later. They kept telling you things were happening. People were being taken by aliens, or aliens appearing, they took some out. But you never saw them until about the 3rd volume. So I did think that was an interesting take, where these threats is something that you're, for some reason, are not seeing.
And what's odd is, at this point, when you begin the manga, an attack has not happened. It's been years.
Right.
And
they've just been sitting there.
People are just going on with the normalcy of life. And it's said that the focus of the story isn't on the alien invasion, but on human nature and growing up in a turbulent, uncertain world. Well, the anime changed all that. We'll get to that.
Right.
But you meet these girls, and some of them got issues. They seriously got issues. And then you find out, unfortunately, in episode 0 of the anime, what happened. So you have Kadode Koyama, voiced by Elise Malloway, Oren Nakagawa, voiced by Britt McKillop, Kiho Kuihara, voiced by Megan Hami, and Ai Demoto, voiced by Caitlin Bairstow. So these are the main four girls. And you got a couple extras, Rin Hirama and Futaba Takemoto, and you find out some of them are having problems together.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, at the beginning of the manga, it's been 3 years in, and nothing has happened.
Right.
And so the girls have grown 3 years from the time this appeared.
Right.
And you can tell from things you're seeing that something's imminent about to happen.
Yes. And you get this a lot from time to time they switch to news feeds where they tell you about where they try to blast weapons at the ship, nothing happens, or they claim they want to get help from the American Armed Forces to build something, shoot something at it, nothing happens, and it constantly goes on as you're watching these characters, so it's something that you're supposed to pay attention to just as you're watching these characters go through. However, it starts to get a little unsettling in a way because you keep hearing about people are gone because of the aliens, which you never see, which I said was a interesting part. But then they start acting pretty crazy in terms of how they're handling the situation. First, there was a conspiracy theory that the Americans were invading and they pretended they were aliens from another planet, but then that was wiped under the rug. Then when they asked the Americans to create a weapon that could harm the aliens but not the people, they agreed, they did it, and unfortunately it did harm some people. Then they blamed the Americans for building it when they asked them to do it, and then they got even crazier to the point where they said, well, they're going to get the credit if they beat the aliens that invaded our country, so we're going to kick them out, they're banned, they're not going to come here and beat our threat, and we're not going to take the credit. And you're sitting there looking like, who's running this?
Yeah.
What kind of strategy is this whole thing? It's like someone's just going on a spinning wheel.
You're worried about credit instead of getting rid of the aliens
Yes.
and saving humanity.
Yes.
Go figure. Another thing that was really odd is that it kept going forward to the future. And I don't mean like a long term, but where the girls get to college. And you see two of the girls fall out because one of them's in love with this professor or teacher. And she's made it known she's in love with him. All four girls know it. Well, you've got one of the girls who, there's no other way to put it, clearly she's a hoochie. And she decides to take the man from the girl once they're in college.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they were never friends.
Yeah.
And then you've got another girl. She ends up falling for Oren, as I mentioned. And then there's a character called Keita Oba, voiced by Cole Howard. And he's a teen idol that disappeared. And when you get to volume 3, you realize that he's being possessed by an alien. And she learns it. She crushes on him. And she learns that he's an invader impersonating a human.
Right.
But she doesn't turn him in because she's crushing on him.
And unfortunately, that's something about how crazy people are. And then, the weird part about this is that we didn't know about a lot of this, but the anime spoils it.
Before we get to that, one more thing. By the time you get to book 3, they're in college.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where you're like, okay, well, we thought an attack was going to be imminent in book 1 the way you made it. You get to book 2, there's no attack. You get to book 3, and there's no attack yet.
Yeah.
But you keep seeing these hints that it may be going slowly, but it's definitely, positively, surely going to happen. And I think the hard part for this author is getting a lot of people to stay around long enough to see what happens.
Right.
Because by the end of book 3, nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this is taking a while.
Yeah.
And since it took 8 years to write this book.
Exactly.
With 12 volumes, you kind of wonder what the author was thinking.
Exactly.
And they had to have a built-in audience. As of this year, it sold 3 million copies, and that's a lot. But it didn't get the fan base that they thought they were going to get in the West. And the anime has not gotten the fan base that they thought they were going to get.
Right.
And some of the things we're telling you are the reasons why that fan base isn't there. Now let's get to the anime, and we're going to put them together. So we decided, let's go ahead on Crunchyroll and give it a try.
Right.
So we're going to season 1, and the Rascal Scissors in episode 0. Really?
Yeah.
And it doesn't say watch later. So we go ahead and we watch episode 0, worst thing we did.
Yes. And something extra after that, after we do this, is the fact that when you watch it starts off pretty normal. You're focused on the main character's father, actually, who we found in the manga doesn't come home, and you don't know what happened to him. Is he lost? Is he missing? Is he dead? You don't know. However, you actually get to see what happened to him in episode 0. In this point, he's at work. Of course, he works for Shonen Jump and all that. And then, as he's trying to get home, the invasion starts, and there's a blackout. And then he wakes up, and it's, I don't know how many years later, and the world has come to an end. The aliens have invaded. They can't go outside and breathe air. They're eliminating humans left and right. You find out he's an alien. He's been possessed by an alien too. This has been happening to people, and it's like, this is too much.
And then almost all the girls are dead, and the ones who aren't dead get killed in
at the
episode
end.
0.
Yes.
And so you're like, why did you put this up first?
It's literally
there's no
spoils
reason
it.
to watch this anime if this is how it's going to end.
It's literally a spoiler.
And you don't know if it's made up in someone's mind or it's a possible outcome. Because again, when you read the first 3 volumes, nothing's happening.
Exactly.
But whether it's an alternate outcome or what actually happens in the end. Well, you go backwards from 0, seeing what happens at the end.
Yeah.
To finding out episode 1 through 18 or how many of it it's going to have. What happened, it was just a really bad approach.
Yeah, it spoils.
After 0, we didn't watch anymore. We just turned it off, deleted it from the watch list, decided we didn't want to read any more manga.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why are you going to get invested? They're killing everybody.
Exactly. And then on top of that, I think another issue for a lot of people, not just Westerners, but I think even for some in other countries that bought the book, is that it's very mean-spirited. And not in like a bit of a jerky tone where someone does something bad, they get screwed over, but they're a jerk, they deserve it, and you're kind of getting humor out of them, getting what was coming to them. They don't do that. A lot of the dialogue is very bizarre when you read it. It's not subtext or anything. It's just they say some pretty cruel things to each other.
Yeah.
A lot of people backstab. They say terrible things about Americans. When you play games with the Americans, all they do is speak in profanities and foul language and insults and being the most abhorrent people to talk and play with. And the people in Japan in this universe are just not that really nice to deal with. They're not fun. The characters aren't fun. It's not done tongue-in-cheek. It's not done as satire. Everyone's kind of got a chip on their shoulder and just say the most mean-spirited, backhanded things to each other. To their faces, not even like in secret. They say horrible things about each other, and you're just supposed to accept this as normal dialogue, and it got so bad. We're just like, you know what? There's only so many insults you could handle towards
so
anybody.
Many vulgar words and so many F-bombs and S-bombs and other bombs. And
yeah, it was like, you know what? Too much.
So I think the oddest thing is that they call the story 2 high school girls. You're seeing how they struggle with the mundanity of life after a spaceship appears. There's nothing mundane about a spaceship appearing. I understand what they're saying, that after all these years,
it's like a satire.
It becomes something that becomes normal for them because it stays in the air and nothing happens and it just becomes a part of their life. I understand that. But this is not something that's going to bring anyone joy, make you happy. It's not going to bring you a thrill reading it. Now, like Rascal said, if this is your type of genres where you got a combination of post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, slice of life, and as you say, mean-spirited characters, none of them have redeeming qualities, nobody's a standout, you don't even like any of the characters.
Nobody, nope.
If this is what you like to read, then this series is for you and this manga is for you.
Yeah.
But if you're one who likes character development, to see a story play out, plot lines, interesting characters, you invest in find favorites that you like, there's something at stake, you don't know how it's going to end, this is not the manga or anime for you.
Yeah.
Now, if you have seen DEDEDEDE, and that's what we're going to call it, let us know in the comments. If you've read DEDEDEDE, let us know in the comments. If you like it, let us know why in the comments.
Yeah.
And let us
What
know
are we
what
missing?
we're missing. Because at this point, we just decided not to invest in it anymore. And if you haven't read the manga or seen the anime, and one last time of Dead Demons, DEDEDEDE Destruction, we just say give it a pass. There's so many more interesting manga reads, so many more interesting animes to watch. You've got a superfluous amount of wonderful series you can watch of all types of genre that will bring you joy regardless of what you like.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and movie videos for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for subscribing and joining us in October and sharing our videos and so much more. We appreciate everything you do. And as always, you are
special. Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.